All right, today we're diving into a medical mystery that affects millions of people and the incredible AI detective that was built to finally crack the case. We're talking about chronic fatigue syndrome, an illness that has for decades completely stumped doctors. And now AI is starting to shine a light in the dark.
So, to really get what's going on, we first need to understand the sheer scale of this puzzle. Myalgic encephalomyelitis, or ME CFS for short, is so much more than just feeling tired. It's a profound, life-altering illness that has been a deep mystery to science for a very long time.
I want you to just try and imagine this for a second. Waking up with a bone-deep exhaustion, like a lead blanket you just can't shake off. Imagine a simple walk to the mailbox being enough to put you in bed for days. This isn't an exaggeration. It's the daily reality for an estimated 10 million people around the world. So what is it officially? Well, it's what's known as a multi-system illness. It sets off this whole cascade of symptoms. There's the relentless fatigue, of course, but also this really unique thing called post-exertional malaise. That means any little bit of effort, physical or mental, can cause a massive crash that lasts for days or even weeks. On top of that, you've got pain, brain fog, sleep that doesn't refresh you. It's a deeply complex and frankly poorly understood condition.
And this right here, this is the absolute core of the challenge for doctors and scientists. ME CFS is incredibly diverse. It's not one single thing. It's more like a spectrum, where every single patient has their own unique mix of symptoms and severity. So you can see why finding a single, one-size-fits-all cause or cure has been, well, pretty much impossible.
So how do you even begin to solve a mystery like this? Well, you start by gathering evidence, and in this case, researchers gathered a truly staggering amount of it. But here's the crazy part. Sometimes having more clues doesn't make things clear. It just makes them messier.
And when I say a staggering amount, I mean it. This research team went all in. Over 4 years, they collected data on pretty much everything you can think of. The entire ecosystem of bacteria living in the gut, thousands of different molecules floating in the blood, super detailed profiles of immune cells, standard labs, you name it. They basically created a complete biological blueprint for every single person in the study. It is one of the most comprehensive datasets ever built for this disease.
But the result of all that work was this: just a giant, chaotic ocean of information. And when scientists tried to analyze it with the usual methods, they found nothing. No clear signal. The patterns were just too complicated, too unique to each person, and way too subtle for our brains or our standard computers to pick up on. It was like trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a hurricane.
And this is where the story takes a really cool turn. The old tools weren't working. The mystery was just too big. So what did the researchers do? They decided to build a new tool from the ground up, a specialized detective powered by artificial intelligence.
They gave it a name, BioMapAI. You can think of it as a super intelligent program, a deep neural network that was designed for one specific job: to dive headfirst into that chaotic ocean of data and find the hidden connections that everyone else had missed.
Now, the way BioMapAI thinks is just brilliant. It essentially has a two-part brain. One part, the shared layers, is always looking at the big picture. It's hunting for the biological signatures that are common across most patients. But the other part, the parallel layers, does the opposite. It zooms way in, learning the distinct biological fingerprints tied to each individual symptom. This means it can see both the forest and the trees at the same time, which is a total game changer.
So the big question, right? Did our AI detective actually crack the case? Well, let's just say it started finding some incredibly clear biological fingerprints that had been hiding in the data all along.
The first huge breakthrough was this number right here, 91%. Let that sink in for a moment. With 91% accuracy, BioMapAI could look at a person's biology and distinguish a patient with ME CFS from a healthy person. This wasn't a guess. It was a diagnosis based on a clear, undeniable biological signature.
But it didn't just stop at a diagnosis, not even close. Remember that two-part brain we were talking about? It put both parts to work to find two very different kinds of clues hiding in the data.
So first, it found those disease-specific markers, things that were generally out of whack in most patients, like an increase in certain immune cells or the presence of a specific gut microbe. But then it found the symptom-specific markers, and this is where my mind was kind of blown. It found that a gut microbe that's usually considered really good for you had a super complex relationship with pain. In healthy people, it was protective, but in ME CFS patients, having both very low and very high levels was linked to worse pain. That kind of nuance was completely invisible before.
Now, as the AI started piecing all of this evidence together, all these little individual clues began to point toward one single massive conclusion. The real problem in ME CFS isn't just one broken part, but a complete and total breakdown in communication across the entire body.
You know, think about it like this. In a healthy person, your gut, your immune system, and your metabolism are in a constant, seamless conversation. They're all talking to each other all the time. It's a beautifully balanced and coordinated network.
What BioMapAI revealed is that in ME CFS, those lines of communication have been severed. The network is fundamentally disrupted. The different systems of the body are no longer working together. It's a state of system-wide breakdown.
And we can actually see what this broken network looks like. The AI found, for example, that the body's ability to produce butyrate, which is a super important anti-inflammatory molecule made in the gut, was way down. And this was directly tied to fatigue and pain. At the same time, other metabolic pathways were all messed up and linked to everything from sleep problems to GI issues to emotional dysregulation. It's a system-wide failure, plain and simple.
So, what does this all mean for the millions of people who live with this illness every single day? Well, this new understanding, powered by AI, is finally lighting up a clear path forward. It's giving us a map.
The implications here are just huge. First, this could lead to the very first objective biological test to diagnose ME/CFS. No more years of uncertainty. Second, because we can now see the specific biological drivers of different symptoms, we can start developing personalized treatments. We can target what's actually causing your pain or your fatigue. And finally, this whole framework, this whole way of looking at a complex disease, could be used to understand other mysteries like long COVID.
And that really leaves us with one final, powerful question. ME CFS was a mystery hidden in a vast sea of data. By teaching an AI how to see the subtle, complex patterns that our own eyes are blind to, we found a new way forward. So you just have to wonder, what other intractable diseases are out there, just waiting for a detective smart enough to finally see the clues?